On May 8, 2026, Trump launched the government portal war.gov/UFO and published 160 classified UFO documents. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard personally announced this as the greatest transparency in the history of the American state. Trump wrote the following on Truth Social: "Let the people decide for themselves what the hell is going on here." And the whole world joyfully stared at the sky. And there is only one question. While the whole world is studying archives from the 1940s, what exactly is happening right now behind this thick information curtain? Right now, the U.S. is waging a tariff war with China. Rates are at 145% on Chinese imports, the biggest trade shock since 1993. Simultaneously, Trump is flying to negotiate with Xi Jinping, his first visit in 8 years. There is an energy crisis in the Strait of Hormuz, a global redistribution of the world trade order. But you read almost nothing about this, because on every screen, there are photos from the lunar surface, metallic orbs, and testimonies of F-18 pilots. This isn't the first time, nor the second. If you look at the history of such UFO revelations, the exact same suspicious pattern emerges. On December 16, 2017, the New York Times published a sensation. The Pentagon secretly spent $22 million on studying UFOs. On the screens is the famous Tic Tac video from the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. Pilot David Fravor tells how the object covered 12,000 feet in seconds. And what is happening behind the scenes? On December 14th, 2 days before the publication, the FCC quietly repeals net neutrality. The entire internet falls under the control of telecom companies. On December 20th, Congress passes a $1.5 trillion tax reform. The corporate tax rate drops from 35% to 21%. The front pages of all the newspapers did not write about any tax reform. They wrote about glowing auras over the Pacific Ocean and mysterious military programs. The second episode. On April 27, 2020, the Pentagon officially declassifies 3 U.S. Navy videos: FLIR, Gimbal, and GoFast. The context of April 2020, U.S. unemployment reached 14.7%, a record since World War II. WTI crude oil fell to minus $25 a barrel, for the first time in history. The Fed expanded its balance sheet to $7 trillion. The whole world looked at blurry recordings from infrared cameras. No one calculated how much the assets of major defense corporations had actually grown. The third episode. On May 17, 2022, Congress holds the first public UFO hearings in 54 years. And on that very same day, Finland and Sweden officially apply for NATO membership. Neutrality, preserved for decades, disappears overnight. That same week, the U.S. Senate approves $40 billion in military aid to Ukraine. The architecture of European security is completely rewritten, with absolutely zero public attention. The fourth episode is the most revealing. On July 26, 2023, hearings are underway in Congress. At the podium is Major David Grusch. Grusch is a former intelligence officer with 14 years of service. Under oath, he states, "The U.S. government is storing non-human biological materials from crash retrieval sites." Beside him are pilot David Fravor and aviator Ryan Graves. 3 military men. 3 stories about unexplained objects. The room freezes. The whole world watches. On that exact same day, The Fed raises the interest rate to 5.5%, the highest level in 22 years. The 11th consecutive hike, 4 times, 4 different dates, 4 different crises. And each time, the U.S. government found the precise moment to make us look at the sky. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a chronology with specific dates. And every single one of them can be verified through public, official, documented sources. Now let's explain the mechanics. Why is this necessary? What is the logic behind this pattern? And exactly who wins every time the world looks at the sky? Human attention is a resource, limited, finite, and extremely valuable. Whoever controls it on the scale of billions of people controls reality itself. This is classical intelligence doctrine. If you need to quietly pass something important, give the crowd something loud, incomprehensible, and frightening that rivets their attention completely. UFOs are the perfect tool for these purposes. They are simultaneously mysterious, visually mesmerizing, and fundamentally unprovable. Therefore, debates about them never end.
Importantly, this doesn't mean Grusch is lying. He might sincerely believe every word he says. That is exactly what makes the entire information construct work perfectly. Controlled leaks are not necessarily lies. They are metered truths, released at the exact right moment by the exact right people. The mechanism of synchronization, that is the main key. And one more psychological component. A threat from space unites. An external enemy is the most powerful political tool known to humanity throughout its history. If the enemy is aliens, then any military expenditures are automatically justified. Any secret programs are automatically necessary, and any parliamentary oversight is automatically removed. Now about money, the hardest currency of any analysis. In 2017, the US military budget was $639 billion. By 2023, the military budget had grown to $886 billion, an increase of $247 billion over 6 years. A separate item is the black budget, classified Pentagon programs. According to Snowden back in 2012, $52.8 billion a year. By 2019, the black budget grew to $81 billion. Money that not a single congressman can audit through standard procedures. The primary recipients of this flow are Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman, 3 corporations whose stock responds with growth to any statements about an extraterrestrial threat. Now let's return to the present day, May 8, 2026. While war.gov/UFO gathers millions of clicks, what is being signed behind closed doors? Trump is waging a tariff war with China at a level of 145%. This is the largest restructuring of the global trading system in the last 30 years. China, in response, cuts off the export of rare earth metals, the foundation of the entire modern high-tech military industry. This is a quiet redistribution of resource chains on a planetary scale. There is a crisis in the Strait of Hormuz. The US and Israel have conducted attacks on Iran. 30% of the world's oil and gas exports are under threat. Trump is flying to China for negotiations with Xi Jinping to redraw the rules of world trade. This is his first visit there in 8 years. The stakes are sky high. And it is exactly at this moment that war.gov/UFO is launched. A coincidence? Or is this a perfectly calculated move, tested at least 4 times over the past 9 years? Who is behind this construct in 2026? Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, hailing from Fox News. A man without a single day of actual military command. Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, a former congresswoman who crossed over to Trump's camp. Both announce transparency, and both control exactly what is disclosed. Transparency controlled by those who themselves decide what to show is not called transparency. It is called a managed spectacle with pre-approved scenery. So, 5 times in 9 years, 5 synchronizations between UFO revelations and tectonic shifts in global politics and economics. 5 is not a statistic. It is a signature. The real threat to humanity has never flown in from space. It has always emanated from those who are in the same building as the button to launch the information spectacle. While you scroll through reports of glowing orbs over military bases, someone in closed offices is redistributing rare earth supply chains and rewriting the rules of global trade. The mechanics are simple. You can argue about the nature of metallic orbs from the Apollo archives, or you can look at the budgets, signatures, and tariffs that are rewriting our world. There is one simple test for manipulation. Ask the question, who benefits from what I am watching right now? It is the best lie detector ever invented. War.gov/UFO is running. The orbs are pulsating. The tariffs are rolling in. Trump is flying to China. And the question remains the exact same. Where is your attention? And who is exploiting it?